This conference will now be recorded. This conference will now be recorded.
No sound.
From E911.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. So you're absolutely correct. The layout that you're looking here should have a note on it that says this is not official until accepted by the town.
Okay.
I apologize for that. Please be careful with these maps after we're done. I just don't want to give anybody the impression that you guys have a placeholder drive in your town.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the
No.
current layout of
We'll shred these.
Thank you very much. The current layout of this complex
Yep.
is this what's marked as placeholder drive is a driveway.
Yep.
And all 5 of these buildings are marked as 380 West Main Street. Our standards,
Yep.
the 911 standards recommend against duplicate addressing because it can be confusing for responders. The subunit layout, considering the duplicate addressing, makes quite a bit of sense in that there are no duplicated subunits, right? You start at this top entrance here,
Yep.
and you have your first quad 1, 2, 3, 4, and it just continues all the way down with 12 units in each building and back up.
Okay.
On my last site check, we went earlier this week. This here in building 30, you'll see the purple building.
Yep.
That is the building that is getting to my understanding, has 2 new units currently. A and B is how they're currently marked. Seems fine for the interim, just to have some designation. I'm not sure if there's anyone living there.
And C and D have building permits.
C and D have building permits.
Right.
Very good information.
Yeah.
We'll have time to incorporate those into our design.
Okay.
So right now, I was only able to find those 3 units. So you'll notice this is the only door that has a 101, 201, and 202.
Mm-hmm.
That's because we gave the office the 101. That's on the bottom left. 201 is right above it. 202 is across the hall. And so what you have as you go through here now, the change from that sequential numbering is each building is going to have its own unique address, which means when responders arrive, they're going to know, hey, I need to go all the way to the last building on this road,
Okay.
even if they're not familiar with the area. You know, I believe that the Tilton responders probably know this place pretty well. I bet they're familiar and they say, oh, 35, that's going to be in building 3, no problem. The real issue with duplicate addressing comes when you have mutual aid. You know, if Tilton is helping in Northfield somewhere, Belmont is going to come and move closer so that they're available to respond on mutual aid, likely. And when Belmont arrives at this scene, they're going to go, okay, great, we're at 380.
Yeah.
Now, which one? And they'll have to kind of figure it out on the fly. With this system, it's more standardized across the state. It's going to be more kind of intuitive for them, and hopefully will abate any or reduce the chance that there's any response delays based on addressing.
Okay.
I had a question.
Please.
Where's buildings 24 through 29?
24 through 29.
You go building, 18, 19,
Hmm.
then I could see there would be a space for, 20, and then the space for between 19, 23, 21. But then it jumps up to 30. So 24, why did
That
they?
is an awesome question. That's perfect.
Yeah.
So the reason that we have to do this is because these units were previously numbered sequentially. The last unit in this building here was 48, and the next unit in this building here was 49. So they added 2 units at the end of this, but there's no numbers between 48 and 49, right?
Why they did.
So now we kind of had to look at like what do we do to fix this? Do we put a stopgap in or do we put a lasting solution? Similarly, our addressing, we aim to not go sequentially. And we use a distance formula.
Mhm.
And basically every 50 feet down a road, you pull 2 numbers, one on either side. Whether there's a building there or not, you hold them in reserve. So there happens to be a building across on these two. Great, we'll use 18 and 19. You go the next 50 feet, there's no buildings right here. So 20 and 21 get held in reserve. Next down, 22, empty space. So that number gets held in case there is development there in the future. Maybe they cut a driveway out there. It allows for much greater expansion and development within the land without triggering one of these readdressing projects. Because once you run out of numbers, you're out of numbers.
It didn't look to scale the buildings, go for the 50 feet. It just looked a little,
It's a little bit.
with me
No, it's a good question. It's a little bit awkward with bigger buildings like this.
because some are bigger than
Yeah,
50 feet. So you have to skip a number.
well, you pick a space. Usually it's about the middle of the building, or sometimes we'll use the front corner of the building, and that'll be the addressing point.
Okay.
And you just keep using that system for the whole road. So I believe for these ones, we use the middle of the building.
And that would make sense why the 30 is so far down.
Yeah, exactly.
21. Okay.
Yeah,
I was
but-
curious.
So if they do expand,
Mhm.
then you would just be able to keep going.
Yeah, I mean, we have all the numbers that exist after 31, 31 now.
Okay.
So that's a much better situation.
Okay.
And
53.
a side benefit of that is any responders that are familiar with the addressing standards. I think it's consistent through most of Tilton actually, and quite a few of the surrounding towns of that 50-foot increment.
Mhm.
They have an idea, even if they don't quite know what the system is. They know, hey, if I'm getting an address that's 200, I know that's about 1,000 feet down the road.
Mhm.
And so they don't have to start slowing down in a blizzard or bad weather to start looking at mailboxes and houses until they get way out there by 900 feet. And then they're like, okay, now we know it's coming up. And even that small optimization, I mean,
Yeah.
you're talking about saving lives. I want to eke out every single chance we can get.
Okay. All right.
The other, so I believe tonight is the town settling on the road name for this driveway.
Yep.
One thing to consider when you're picking a road name and accepting it is the effective date.
Okay.
Because if the town selects the road name and says, okay, this is effective immediately, now we have until the rest of these buildings change. We have 5 buildings that are on placeholder drive that are not addressed off of placeholder drive or foundation drive, excuse me.
Yeah.
And that could run into confusion. So it's important to align the effective date with the effective date of the change.
Okay.
In looking at the available dates, I believe we've looked at, I proposed January 14th as an effective date for all of the address
Yes.
changes.
Yep.
January 14th.
Yeah.
Yes.
We update monthly the dispatcher maps,
Mhm.
and there isn't enough time to get it in for the November one
Mhm.
because that's like right around the corner, right? And then the December one is going to be right before the holidays. And sometimes there is some delay in Google's mapping because
Mhm.
they don't have a crew that's going to go out and update the maps to make sure the responders can see this, right?
Yeah.
So just to make sure that there's no interruptions of holiday packages, I think it's probably best to wait till after the holidays to fix this.
Okay.
So Just as
Makes
a
sense.
side note, when you or if you decide to accept the road name, just make sure it's effective on that date as well. So
Okay.
everything happens all at once.
Yep. All right. Makes sense. Okay. Well, thank you, Zach.
Absolutely. If I
Anybody?
could,
Yep. Oh, go ahead. You have
oh
a-
yeah, I just want to speak to the public hearing
Oh, yeah.
briefly on the
Yes.
30th. So
Gonna
typically,
be there?
yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So typically for these events, representative from our agency would go. That'll be me,
Yep.
and we'll be here as a resource to help the people that are going to be affected by this change to understand it a little bit better. Generally, people are not very pleased with this change.
I can see
It really is disruptive.
checks
Yeah.
or things, what do we do?
Yep.
Yeah, and so a lot of the common questions that we get, USPS, right? How soon do I have to change my address? USPS will honor up to a year the old addresses, so they'll still be able to get their old mail at 380 West Main Street, unit, 52 or 30 or whatever it is. Oh, excuse me, for a full year
Okay.
after. Other than that, questions come up. I'm happy to field absolutely any of them. Or if you guys have questions in anticipation of that, I'm happy to help with that as well.
Okay. Great.
The general process is once we name a road, and we go through the public hearing, and we input it all into the system. So that would work together on that one.
Yep, I'll produce a spreadsheet that gives you a one-to-one conversion. 380 West Main Street, Unit
Right.
1 will become 19 Placeholder Drive, Unit 101. And so you have that one-to-one on town records, so that if there's ever a question about when this happened, why this happened, or where did this come from, you can go back and have that kind of bridge.
Yep.
That
So then I would take that placeholder, if you would, the map. It's all marked out individually. Send it to police, fire, post office, library, school, the bus routing, even though I'm not sure that they would need it there, but it's still a procedure that I do, and DMV. So,
affected residents would all receive a notification from the town, a letter that says, hey, effective January 14th, your address went from 380 West Main Street, Unit 1 to, right, 19,
Yep.
so that they have that document. Anything that they have that they need to transfer over, they use that town document as the connecting bridge to prove and verify that, no, I didn't move, it's just a different address.
Yep.
right, because there'll be 64 of them
Yeah. Oh,
that
yeah.
are affected.
I know how much of a pain in the butt I'm.
Yeah.
Yep.
You might know, John.
I do too. Yep.
You might know now. Coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Forgot about that.
You forgot about that, huh?
Yeah, I got used to.
All right. Well, thank you, Zach. Appreciate it.
Yep,
And we will see you on the 30th.
I'll be here.
So at this time, I'd like to make a motion that we replace 380 West Main Street with the new address of Foundation Drive.
Well, it's not an address. We're just naming the.
They're naming the
driveway.
road as
Foundation
Foundation Drive.
Second. I have a question.
Do we say naming the driveway or naming the road?
It's a driveway.
Is it a
We're
driveway right
naming the
now?
driveway.
As a, right,
Naming it from a driveway to a road? Does that?
It's not a town road.
it's not a town road, naming a driveway
Right.
Naming a
to,
driveway.
Naming a driveway. We've done
Driveway.
this before.
yeah, naming a
Okay.
driveway.
Oh, interesting. Okay. All right.
It's not a town
Did
road
all
yet.
of the residents participate in the name?
The owners did. It's the owners. They picked 4. Maycore Drive, which was similar to something that we had in McMorrin. And then Foundation Drive, Wellspring, which was something that was different. And then Live Well, which we felt that they would have trouble pronouncing it.
Live well. They'd have trouble pronouncing
Live Well Drive.
Interesting.
I live on Live Well Drive. I live on Live Well Drive.
Oh.
With the
Foundation.
name, not us. I was
Phonetically.
really just curious how.
Well, it was
They have
four.
to live well with it. I mean,
Yeah, it's
I
an
was
interesting
curious,
name.
Yeah. Like, is it a historical name or?
Yeah.
No,
all right. So we have a motion. We have a second. All in favor?
I
I,
Aye.
Yep.
No opposed? Okay.
thanks, Zach. We're all set. Yep.
Thank you, Zach. Have a good day.
All right. Finance Director Pearson,
Oh, yep.
you are up.
All right. So I would direct you to your binders. I sent out a revision today of the budget that is in your binders. It's different from the email yesterday, slightly different because it includes, yes, I did. Because it includes property liability, unemployment, and workers' comp rates, as well as a change from the town clerk tax collector, which I'll get into in a minute. So I would, those are really the only the big changes that are in this budget that changed from today, from yesterday. So if you have questions and noted something from yesterday's budget, they should still be pretty close. So in any event, with our new health insurance rates, we fared better than many other municipalities. One of our rates went up 9.2%. The other went up 6.2% for a blended rate of about I believe it was 8.4 percent overall. And we were worried about double-digit increases, so it was somewhat better than what we were worried about. The property liability, workers' comp, and unemployment insurance, they all went up. Not terribly, but in general, just about everything that could go up in this budget did. So property liability went up 5.1%, workers' comp was up 14.4%, and unemployment insurance, although a very small number, it did increase 18%. So looking at the overall budget, we are looking at a 5.6% increase overall from 2025 or $351,400. And if you look at the cover, you'll see by department where those changes are. The most notable changes are in health and welfare, which, as you may recall, was attributable to a change in position within that department. Culture and recreation, one of the outside agencies, the Hall Library has requested a sizable increase for the year due to their HVAC systems needing to be replaced. In the land use department, and I'm just going by the largest percentages at this point, land use department, the increased percentage there was due to the additional services required for our master plan and consulting to bring all of our land use department ordinances, zoning amendments up to a point where we can access additional grant monies. In terms of overall dollars increase, the police department had the largest increase, and that was there was no new, really no new additional requirements there, no new additional products or anything else. That's just a factor of the health insurance and wage increases. Additional employees were eligible for the retention benefits. So there were some other things that didn't exist for some employees last year that did this year. There are also some changes in terms of equipment maintenance, which I'll go through as we get into the police budget. And then I've already mentioned culture and recreation, the hall library, and health and welfare. Outside of that, land use I discussed. And then in the administration department, where the increase occurred was primarily through wage adjustments from the prior year. So with that being said, if we turn to the first page for the administration, you'll see that we have our standard selectmen stipends, trustee stipends. We do keep $1 in the administrative part-time overtime line in case it is required, but we try to keep that to a minimum. You see the increases in salaries on the administrative staff, and then also the merit increases. Here they were budgeted at 3.5%. That's in keeping with the PD's CBA for the year. We did reduce office supplies based on current experiences, and we've got some great buyers in the town. They are fantastic at purchasing, both at the PD and in town hall. Amy and Charlene find all kinds of deals on things, so kudos to them. The travel expenses, this may change, but it may change from mileage expense to, if we do end up, if the board approves having a cruiser for administrative use in town hall, that would change to maintenance costs. In the administrative dues, we did add in Lakes Region Planning into this line because it is a dues that we pay each and every year, that we rely on this organization as we do New Hampshire Municipal Association. And so this was moved from, at one point it was an outside agency, and it was moved up into this administrative dues line, and that's why you see the increase. So where it was increased here, it was taken out elsewhere in the budget. The administrative postage line, we are seeing our postage costs have gone up 3 times this year, and every few months we get a notice that postage costs are going up. Unfortunately, when we have to send certifieds, that's the highest cost portion. We've had to notice a number of residences from the administrative selectman's office, and those required multiple certifieds, and we've had more expense this year than we had anticipated. So we did increase it slightly for next year. Administrative printing, this is our town report. Training, of course, that's also based upon the size of the document. I always encourage department heads to try to keep their reports concise and take out any extraneous information, but still make it usable and meaningful to the reader. Administrative training, this is for additional seminars and classes. This would be for the selectman's office primarily. Equipment maintenance and repair. This is our boiler, elevator, lift maintenance contract, fire extinguisher inspections. And I have to tell you, in terms of the lift, we do have it on a contract. However, the contract really only provides us for a few preventive maintenance service calls and then discounted rates on parts. The lift gets more use than we've had in prior years, and it is getting older. It's about 14 years old now. And I asked the fellow the last time he was in what the lifespan of these are, and he said they can last 20 to 30 years if you service them and keep replacing parts. We bought it for $17,000 at the time. That didn't include the construction of the well around it, but a new one would be in the $40,000 to $50,000 range. And if we went to the lowest cost elevator, it would be about $100,000. So we do want to keep this on a maintenance agreement and keep it in tip-top shape. Administrative advertising, we did reduce this significantly because we are at full employment right now. And that was the reason why we had it hire this last year, but we were successful in finding avenues of recruiting people that didn't cost as much money. Administrative equipment rental, maintenance. This is our postage rental machine, our security shredder, and both get a tremendous amount of use. Equipment purchases. This is simply for replacement of chairs. This seems to be the one thing that we replace fairly often. Miscellaneous expenses includes everything that isn't included elsewhere, including candy. And you can see the Christmas wreaths, pre-employment background checks for criminal and motor vehicle, as well as parade candy, the most important, obviously. Consulting outside contracts. So this past year, we had an encumbrance for Academy Street engineering. That won't exist this next year, so we keep $1 in the line in case we need to utilize it for some reason. The salaries for moderator and supervisors of the checklist are based upon 3 elections with a slight increase over and above what it had been in the last time we had 3 elections. Pardon me. Election and registration, same idea. This is how these were estimated. FICA, Medicare, life, disability, retirement for Group 1, which the rate is 12.75%. The health insurance and dental insurance, these are all generated based off of salaries and benefits that employees have selected. The recording fees are when the Selectmen's office needs to record either an elderly recording or a deed or some other such thing. The mapping service, this is our GIS product, and the parcel updates do get charged to this line, although we don't split it out into a separate line where we charge for these segments, but when someone is making a change to their parcel, if they're subdividing it, we do charge them by line for GIS. And so we do recoup the overage cost. Reappraisal of property, we are I think this is incorrect. I think we are now going into the 3rd year of our 5-year agreement for 26. No, that is correct. 2nd year. The general legal expense, this is just based off of the estimates, based off of prior experience. And hopefully we will not expend as much there. Janitorial, we have a real issue with, we received new rates for 26. For town hall, the rates were over 60% increase. And for the police department, it was over 40% increase. So we are going to be recommending probably hiring a part-time individual to work for the town, because this is about $31,000 in janitorial services. So it still remains to be seen if we can find a company to do it, but we've beat the bushes before. We've used about everybody out there, as those of you that have been here a while know. I think we've had every cleaning company from here to Concord in the past.
Robots.
What's that?
Robots.
Yeah.
But
Robots.
we did do it in-house, if you will. For a while, we did have someone
We did.
from Public Works, and it failed miserably.
Right. It is highly dependent on the person that's hired. There is someone that was working for one of the cleaners in the past that may be available. That's no longer working for that cleaner. They have their own sort of independent thing. So there may be some opportunities there, but it is highly unlikely unless our current cleaning company decides otherwise and lowers their rates that we would be proceeding forward with them. So you'll be hearing more about this.
Well, perhaps we should go out and get bids from other companies to see if they are within reason. I mean, we really hadn't been increased much over these past years.
Well, we've been successful in negotiating with them to hold them to 3 to 5% increase over these years when they've asked for 10. And
I'm just saying, we don't have anything to
15%.
compare this to.
Right. So we we can certainly do that. We have time to do that.
On the website.
Yep.
Page.
Yep, we will go out and find whatever option we can for this. In terms of electricity, so our old rate is expiring. We're looking at about, I will be bringing rate information to the board for both electricity and gas, but we're looking at greater than a 22% increase in electricity costs. Unfortunately, heat is not quite as far away in terms of our old rate and the current rate right now for propane or LP gas, but still it's undetermined. We have to sign a new agreement for both before the end of the year. You can see sewer, water, and then maintenance and repairs for town hall. We did reduce that by the amount of the mini split that we encumbered from last year. And that takes us to page 4, the senior center maintenance. This is, we're hoping to hold this to the same amount as this last year. As you know, we will have the costs of installing the floor, which are going to be for the any supplies required by the crew to install it. But the vendor was very generous in providing us the materials at no cost. In terms of the janitorial supplies, we should be right on track with last year. The reason why the expenses year to date are low is that we restock basically once a year and then only buy other things when we're really at a loss. In terms of the insurances, as I've already mentioned, the increases there for workers' comp, property liability, unemployment, and then Lakes Region Mutual Fire Aid. This is something that is presented to us. This is not an official number yet, but Chief Sitar had provided us with this planning number. And once they vote, that will become, we will get the final number, but it should be very close. In the town clerk tax collectors department, I guess first, are there any questions in the administrative department that someone had? No. All right, in the town clerk tax collector's office. So in your prior budgets, the town clerk tax collector was requesting a 6% increase. And today, not long before we had to print this out for the second time, she lowered that to a 4% wage increase. So please disregard the narrative underneath where it says salary town clerk tax collector, because I have to update some of that to reflect the actual numbers. I just didn't have time prior to the meeting. But the number that's the shaded number that's under 2026 is the under the department request is the correct amount, reflecting 4% increase. Then you also see the salary for the deputy. Their office supplies, she kept the same. Postage did increase again based on the increases from the USPS. Training and dues, she wanted to keep this high because she's planning on sending her deputy to more training, and it also includes dues in this line. Government reimbursements, that has increased to keep pace with the expense and revenues that we received this year. Election and preparation, again, is based on the 3 elections for 26. And then the deed research, this is not only the amount that we pay a company to do the deed research for us, but also the costs of recordings and redemptions for deeds. So moving on to page 5, if there are no questions on the town clerk tax collector's budget. I hear none. So in the finance department, you'll see the budget committee stipends are listed. The budget committee expenses, they do sometimes attend workshops. That hasn't been the experience recently, so we have kept that low. The auditor expenses, this is a continued contract. We have 1 more year on this agreement. And then also half the actuarial services. We have a 2-year agreement for actuarial services, which we encumber and split between the 2 years. The salaries for finance director, treasurer, deputy treasurer are listed. The supplies for our e-form submissions, these are our federal forms that we are now required to do electronically, along with other publications. The postage for finance, we have reduced that to 0 because we've been using primarily the administrative postage line for this. We're doing so much less mailing of checks and more electronic payments. The printing, we still do require specialized toner and checks when we do have to print checks, and that's what that is for. Training and dues, these are the conferences and the dues that I am a member of. And then our debt for short-term interest, this is for our TAN expense. And I do expect to be able to reduce this further as rates come down, but we don't have any final rates at this point. The long-term debt, this debt is based on the 2 large bonds that we have. One is for the USDA, the sewer debt, and then also for the police station. And it's split up by principal and interest. And you can see the total of the long-term debt. And it was, you'll see variations each year in terms of the principal might be a little higher, the interest might be a little lower each and every year. And there are some anomalies in the sewer debt where there was some revisions and refinancing that the municipal bond bank did at one point. So that does change periodically. So if there are any questions on the finance department? Okay, for information technology, you'll see the salary, the hardware line was reduced. We've made use of a lot of refurbished systems that we received from or that we've purchased at a great discount, as well as received systems from the court system, the federal court system, and have had to pay for licenses, but nothing else on the systems themselves. The software incorporates a number of items, including our IMC software at the PD, security and updates for our systems. That also includes our firewalls, the assessing software that we use, tax collection software, clerk software, accounting software, our website costs, and then just other general softwares that we utilize during the year. In terms of services, we cover the 4 copiers that we have. We have a consultant for our firewalls and servers, as well as we pay for our online meetings that we're running right now. We utilize Google for our Office apps, and then e-signature, as you're familiar with, for the signing of documents. In terms of communications, we have Verizon Wireless for our PD communications, for our MDTs and wireless communications there, as well as our fiber and voice over IP is budgeted in this line. We are somewhat hamstrung by a feed up to Belknap Mountain, which is a very small connection up there, but it costs a lot of money. There's only one company that has that, which is the company we deal with. And we have tried to reprice doing our fiber through other companies, but because we receive such a high discount there, if we switch to any other company, we would have to pay the full amount, and it just wouldn't be economically viable. We pay for our alert system, and then we pay for, I've budgeted money for tower electricity for towers other than on town property. In terms of supplies, this is all the other miscellaneous supplies that we use for the IT department, most of which is toners and toner-related items like drums and that sort of thing. So, any questions on the information technology budget? We are down slightly, and part of the reason is the IMC software. We've seen a lower cost because of the integration at Belknap County. And that's where that stands. In the land use department, so the land use coordinator you can see the salary there, and then there's a request to provide a market evaluation adjustment of $13,000. If you were to go out now and look for an experienced person in this area, we would be paying a lot more. We benefit from the fact that we have someone that is not working full-time at the current time, and that that is an anomaly because, as I said, when we have to hire for this position, this wage is going to be way out of whack of the market.
Yeah.
So this was the intent from the department head to bring this up more to market rate, and this does not reflect market rate, but it is approaching it. The salary for land use technician, you can see this is a full-time position, and then equipment and supplies, miscellaneous expenses. They do have some recording fees from time to time. Postage, they do quite a bit of postage, and a lot of this postage is reimbursed from applicants, but we still have to budget it. We do keep some advertising money here, although with some new laws, we haven't had to put notices in papers as we have in the past, so we've saved money there. Land use education, you can see this was kept the same from last year. And then master plan update and professional consulting. This is to ensure that we are able to continue to make use of grant funding opportunities. We are woefully behind in terms of an aged master plan, as we're all aware. And then the zoning amendments and legislative changes that have, or the legislative changes that have come from Concord have really put a lot of pressure on towns, us included, to make changes to zoning amendments that would have to go before town meeting. And again, this is all towards the end goal of being able to make use of grants at a state level, at a federal level. They look at what we have in place, and if we're not up to date, we have to get there before we can take advantage of it. And sometimes if you do that, it takes a great amount of time to get there, and the money may not be there, or the program may not be there when we want to get there. And we want to be able to make use of impact fees and these other grant monies. In terms of the stipends, you'll see the planning board, zoning board, and then the salary for the building inspector. Again, that's 12 hours per week. So then the code enforcement officer, there was a change made here. So this is now split. So in this budget, you see just the amount for the zoning code enforcement. And when you get to health and welfare, you'll see the other portion for the health officer, as that was once one line. And then the land use vehicle costs, that's for the maintenance of the or the building inspector's vehicle. On page 7, you'll see the Conservation Commission's budget, which was supplied by the Conservation Commission. And then economic development, which is really the beautification for downtown, flags, flowers, and holiday decorations. So any questions on land use?
I have a question. Why does the economic development fall under land use?
In the so it could either be in the land use department or in administrative. It's based off the function code that the state provides, but it would be appropriate in either. And it can be moved to administrative if the board wishes. It's easy change to make.
It seems to me like maybe, there should be economic development, but flags, flowers, and holiday decorations don't seem to be thing to economic development as much as administrative.
I agree. It was woefully overexpended, and I didn't have any control over that.
Well, just John says it doesn't have anything to do with economic development.
Right.
So why are those things under economic development? I mean, that was a committee that was formed.
Well, and that's
As far as I know, has never met.
No, it did.
They met.
uh,
No, I mean, for the past 3
right.
years.
Oh, yeah, for a few years now.
2.5.
we have not met. But it did have some other charges at the time, but then it developed into more of a beautification line. So
But
it,
we always had monies for the flowers and holiday decorations, but it wasn't under economic development. Or was it?
I think economic development, we put flower boxes or something in and did some beautification, one-time type things and bought.
well, we've
But-
each year you would have
And
seen costs in here for the same thing. If there had been at one point, the budget was much higher because there were other items anticipated that the committee was going to be doing in terms of programs or other things.
I just
But-
think it's misleading.
Do you want to retitle the line and put it in administration? And just
Only
call
if
it,
we're gonna disband economic development. I'd just like to see those monies for those purposes get put back. I'd have to scan and look through. I don't remember where they were.
this is where they've been. But we can move them to the
They've
administrative
only
budget.
been there for about, what, 4 or 5 years?
Right.
Not for the past 20 years, they weren't there.
No, but you wouldn't have seen them prior to that.
Oh.
Like I said, it's misleading to have them under economic development.
So my question to the board is, would you like to move that $1,500 into the administrative line and call it beautification? Or some such thing?
Something like that, and I think you should keep $1 into economic development until we figure out, is there anything that's
Right.
earmarked for economic development?
So, and the reason,
Advertise or make flyers or,
Some
so
grants,
the
some
other,
grants.
promote a downtown
L-chip or
area
something,
or.
yeah.
Yep.
yeah, and we have,
A dollar. and-
we have taken advantage of those L-chip grants before, but the other reason economic development falls under land use is because a lot of towns you'll see there's a community development director, and community development incorporates not only the land use functions, but also economic
Beautification.
development and beautification. So, but we can put it wherever you like. I would suggest, in terms of the beautification portion, that we move that and say add that to the either the miscellaneous line or make it a separate line within the administrative budget. And
That means the administrator is responsible for the planting the.
If you want him to live, then.
does that meet with the board's?
Actually, I'm pretty good.
Does that
Yeah,
meet with the board's
I think
consensus?
that makes the most sense.
All right, I will move that. Are you good with the title beautification?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, I'll take care of that, and we'll leave it.
$1.
Well, leave a
We'll leave a
dollar.
dollar.
Yep.
We'll leave $1 for economic development in that line. All right, and then, so if there's nothing else in land use, then in health and welfare. So as I mentioned, as we were going through the code enforcement, this is the other portion of the split that exists here for the health officer. There's some miscellaneous expenses for the health officer in terms of tests or other things they may require during their the execution of their position. Animal control, we are still working to try to work out an agreement for animal control, and it's just been stalled to date. But in any case, we did put some money in there in the past. We just expected that if we had anything, that we would just overexpend that line. In terms of the Senior Center Executive Committee, these are the stipends. This is both for bus drivers and for the executive committee. And this will be the actual amount. If bus drivers have fallen off or there's additional bus drivers, they would receive these stipends at the end of the year. The welfare director, as I'm sure you recall, the increase here was because of the position change from 20 to 34 hours. And that represented a significant increase, but it was a change of position. The administrative expenses are reflective for that position. That position does pay for its own cell phone. And then the general assistance line, the welfare director had requested a increase of 50% to $37,500. So that concludes the health and welfare line. Any questions in health and welfare? All right, so Public Works. So we have a full crew right now, with the exception of this one very part-time recycling position, which I think the director is looking to find somebody that's retired that would come in for a few hours a week. But otherwise, you'll see the salaries here for the director and technician, as he does double duty as a mechanic for us, as well as the salaries for the crew, overtime, and compensated absences, which currently there is no one that can take advantage of that, but at some point in time, we will have to increase that line. The merit raise pool for 6 employees, that's based off of, again, the 3.5%, which is in the PD contract. Then you see the part-time wages. This is the amount that was set aside for the part-time person for the transfer station. And then the taxes, liability insurance, life and disability, retirement, health insurance, dental, all generated based off of wages and benefits. And then we have office supplies, which has remained the same. He's reduced the equipment maintenance and repair somewhat. And you can see he's looking at truck tires and plow blades primarily in that area. Equipment supplies, he reduced that. Equipment rental, that's the same. Miscellaneous expense, he's reduced that some. And then the, as you've seen before, the electricity, that's going up by that 22%. We did look at the experience that they're having. It's interesting how you have certain people operating utilities in a given building, and some people like to be a little cooler or warmer than others. Kevin is very frugal with electricity, so that's why you don't see the full 22% increase. That's a 17% increase. Heat, we're anticipating hopefully should be about the same. We might be able to bring that down a little bit. Building supplies, he reduced. Water, you can see. Building repairs. So under building repairs, it is possible that we could encumber the septic design that was originally discussed a couple of years ago. We are still out of compliance at the Public Works with a holding tank. So he does want to see this get corrected, and the septic design portion alone is about $2,500. The salt shed does require repairs. There's some other things that he's planning on doing, but there are a number of things that need maintenance in the building, including the doors, which hopefully will get done this year. Uniforms, this is based off the number of personnel and the allocation that he's provided to them. Gas and diesel, he reduced slightly. Equipment purchases, he does need to buy a diagnostics computer. And while he has supplied his own tools as a mechanic, he does not need to buy himself a new diagnostic tool. The only reason he requires a diagnostic tool now is because the new vehicles that we have, his tool, even though it's only about 3 years old, it won't support the new vehicles that we have. So, so we did put that into his budget for that diagnostics computer, and that caused the increase there. Under training, you can see he's planning on continuing training for the road scholar classes and then herbicide training. Winter salt and sand is budgeted at $84.50 a ton. We are a little low right now, so we may, depending upon what happens through the end of this year, we may overexpend the line slightly this year, but costs have gone up, and the cost is reflected in that increase from year to year. Road materials, this is that he did reduce this. This is gravel, ledge pack, asphalt, and other things to repair roads and ditches. And then subcontractors, you'll see that there's a significant reduction here of $46,000, and this was the encumbered monies for paving Morrison and Grant Street which are being done very shortly, as far as I understand it.
Saturday,
Saturday?
yes,
Saturday.
yeah, this
Uh,
Saturday.
Then lastly, you've got building and grounds maintenance. He's reduced that some. Road construction, we leave $1 in there in the event it's required. Outside of the capital reserve fund monies, and then contractor work every other year. So this is for storm drains. We do this every other year. We did it last in 24, so it's scheduled for 26. And that is a subcontractor that does that. Sidewalk construction, again, we leave $1 in. Signs and safety includes boots and other personal protective gear. And then the lighting, this is a little more challenging for street lighting, is a little more challenging to budget because of the increases, but I think we can, we do have some control over the lighting, so we can make slight adjustments to lower the intensity, very slight adjustment to lower it. At the same time, we have the increase in the rate. So that's why I'm only budgeting a 17% increase there. And then under parks building and grounds maintenance, this is the other items that they do for the Parks Commission. And so that leaves the Public Works budget up 3.5%. In terms of sanitation and recycling processing, this is transfer station costs. The director is looking to purchase another baler, a full-size baler, probably in the next year. And that could come out of highway equipment. The sanitation residential solid waste costs for 26 through the Concord Regional Solid Waste Cooperative will be paying $100 a ton. And so you can see we budgeted that plus also about $3,500 for additional bins and parts. That we may overexpend depending upon how many residences are added and whether they have bins that we have to provide or whether they have private collection. You can see the subsequent years for these rates. They increase over time. And I will note that as we're talking about the Concord Regional Solid Waste Recovery Cooperative, we did receive a $56,000 payment, which was our portion of the Whitney Road Recycling Center that was at one point going to be built by this group. And it's been for years, it's been a small amount. There's been an option on it by a developer to buy it, and they finally pulled the trigger and bought it. And so this is our portion, 56,000. You don't see it here, but it will be in our miscellaneous revenues for 2025.
That goes back into the general fund.
That goes back to the general fund. That's
Can
right.
we designate that as end of the year and purchase some of these big items that are needed so that it doesn't go into taxation?
Yeah, I was gonna get to that. I was planning on, there's several items that I think we can do
Okay,
like that.
got it.
And you'll see that I do have some money set aside for buying down the tax rate too, once that's developed. The sanitation commercial solid waste, these are the haulers, and that's essentially what we bill and pass through. The household hazardous waste, that's the one event each year that we participate in. And then demo material removal. So this I'm hoping in 26 we can finally determine that we can go to a coupon system, because we will spend about half the money we're spending now in Amnesty Week. You can see we're already almost $32,000 expended for the year. So we've overspent with just the one Amnesty Week. So this is really going to be well overexpended. And this is an area where I think if we can just get a good program put together, maybe one patterned after what Northfield's done, we should be able to save some money. Sanitation curbside contract, we're in the fourth year of our 5-year contract. So that means in 26, we'll start going out to bid and renegotiating with Casella or other haulers for our collection contract. And that is the end of the Public Works and Sanitation Department.
Jim,
Yes.
on line 312760, sidewalk, it said $1, but we're planning for doing the sidewalk along Riverfront. Where's that money coming out of?
So if we have supplies that we have to buy, it would be charged to that line. So we'd be overspending that line. But we have
You
the,
have to get pavement.
well, we have the curbing, and they have some supplies. I don't know if they have everything
They
they
won't
need for
have
it.
hot top.
They don't have
They don't-
asphalt.
That's right, right.
So
Which
I
is
don't-
relatively inexpensive. But we would be.
I mean, if it's $500, is it somewhere else? Switch it out of there and
No, this is where we would expend it on this line.
And the idea is that, when people look at in the future, they go, yeah, for past 20 years, we haven't spent a penny on sidewalks or something,
Well,
but if you
yeah.
put it in that, we're spending money on the sidewalks.
Well, the other thing is the capital reserve fund does specify it can be used for sidewalks as well. So if we had a really extraordinary expense because of a sidewalk construction, it could be spent out of there as well. But I can make a note that when we get to the selectmen's portion, when you're looking to vote on things, if you want to put $500 on that line, we can do that. All right, so that was the Public Works and Sanitation. In the police department, we have one open position. Currently, that's a patrol position. And you can see the salaries for the chief, officers' wages, and you can see the number of command staff, the number of other staff budgeted within that line. You see the salaries for overtime, holiday, compensated absences. They do have employees that could take advantage of that and will be taking advantage of that this year. The merit pool, this is for non-union employees, and it's based off of the 3.5% PD contract, the CBA. And then the support staff, you see the budget for that. Therefore budgeted there. And then part-time salaries. And then all the other items that make up the benefits and taxes are in those shaded cells coming down. The grant expenses, as you'll note for 2025, and I think we discussed this at one other time when we were reviewing the budget. These are revenues that we receive. We keep $1 in the line in case we can take advantage of some of the state programs. And the PD's been really great about getting grants this year. And these are the grants that generate, grant overtime for officers. So these are not equipment. These are not equipment items. After the retirement for Group 2, you'll see office supplies, prosecutor expense, and all the other items, dues, postage, printing, and which are all about the same, pretty much flat budgeted year to year, with the exception of the prosecutor's expense. And then we get to the equipment maintenance, repairs, and tech. And this is an area that you'll see came down in price because there's a program that they are going to discontinue using in 26, mainly because of the costs associated with the program, and then also the amount of utilization that we've had for it has been fairly low, and it just doesn't justify itself anymore. And it is accessible to us through other agencies. So where this was reduced by $6,500, we did have to add that into on the next page, which I'll get to, but it's under building maintenance, and I'll explain that when we get to it. But otherwise, the body cameras, tasers, communications equipment maintenance, the radio recording equipment, and Belknap Tower fees are all paid out of this line. In terms of miscellaneous expense, that includes the advertising, immunizations, the expenses for department meetings and award ceremonies. And then you'll see the electricity, heat, septic, water are all listed here. The electricity is difficult because the primary utility at the PD is electricity. And it is easy at times. We did have one sort of leak, if you will, that the chief and I discovered very quickly. Turned out to be the heaters above the exterior doors use a tremendous amount of electricity, and they got reset at one point and generated some overage that took a little while to figure out what was causing it. So I call it a leak, but it was an anomaly, and the chief is fantastic about keeping his electricity costs as low as possible. But you have to keep in mind that the majority of expense for utilities, as you can see, the gas is next to nothing. It's all in electricity.
Hey,
Uh,
Tim,
Yeah.
question. Have we ever thought about solar?
It was discussed when we when we built it initially.
I was just curious. I'm
Yeah.
sure it was. I just,
It just didn't seem to, it was more than that. It was like 150,000, I think, at the time.
Mhm.
And it just was deemed,
Mm.
yeah, I don't think we anticipated the amount of expense for electricity at the time.
Yeah.
But it could be worthwhile taking another look at it. In
Wondering.
addition,
I'm
whether,
just wondering if there's grants out there. I mean, now that you have an established building, and I don't know, just something to look at.
Yep.
I mean, even if it just, I mean, I personally do not know anything about solar.
I have solar on my house.
I'm just curious if this seems to be a thing that probably is going to continue to go up.
right.
I mean, maybe it's worth just looking into possibilities of grants, something like that.
No, absolutely. I think it's absolutely valid. And we have even if the roof turned out to be not ideal for it, you've got a tremendous amount of space behind that gravel parking area back there where you could have a little solar array, a farm back there, collecting
Just a thought.
collecting solar. There's plenty of sun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just a thought.
And
Maybe down the road or something.
so in any case, I'll make a note of that. We could take another look at that, but in any case, those are the utilities. And then the water, of course, includes the sprinkler head charges that we have to pay the water district. Under building maintenance, what the 6,500 that came out of the equipment repairs and tech stuff was added here for the maintenance of the HVAC system. So we have general, I should say, we have general maintenance done on all the filters, all the cleanings, and all that sort of thing of their existing system. But then everything is run by this train system. So this is the actual heaters, if you will, and it's pretty involved. And for us to have a maintenance contract, it is not inexpensive to be able to keep to manage our electric costs and manage the building as efficiently as we can. Is that accurate? Yeah.
That's like that's what talks to the whole system's train. That completely, but it's all digital. Everything's digital.
It runs everything in there.
Everything.
Yep. And you have to have an agreement with them, an independent agreement with them. So in any case, that's what that is. Janitorial, I've already discussed the increase that we received and the options that we're going to look at. And as you go down here, building improvements, uniforms, we have to maintain a certain percentage budget for this, because if everyone took advantage of the CBA offerings, we would overexpend this line considerably. So this is a function of the number of people we have and the experience ratio we apply to it based on what we expect uniforms to be, as well as for new employees. Officer stipends, this is based off $200 per eligible officer, which is part of the contract. Uniform maintenance, this is our dry cleaning. The PD training, you'll see the FBI LEDA training, Police One Academy, and other training. And I have to tell you that the chief missed his calling in hotel and resort operations, because he's scheduled in more training into our PD, where it gets us free seats that we would have to pay for otherwise. He's done an incredible job of saving us money, and most importantly, really seeing to it that he's developing his officers and command staff, and that they're getting more training than most other agencies would, because this would be costing us out of pocket, and he's able to get the facility, because of the facility and our location, he's able to wangle a lot of free seats for us. In terms of gasoline and diesel, we've left that the same. It looks, and when you look at these, some of these expenditures year to date, sometimes these are going to be a prior month, so it's sometimes a month in arrears. So you sort of have to apply that as you look at where we are year to date. But we're on track for the gas and diesel. Vehicle maintenance, we did reduce this some, primarily because of the new vehicles, and also because of our access to a technician in-house. But you can see how we budgeted this based on how much per type of vehicle. So 1,000 each for the front line, 2,500 each for the midline, and then detail cars. And as you're aware, we are swapping out some of the vehicles. So the vehicles that have required more maintenance will be coming out, and the new vehicles hopefully require less maintenance. So there was a small reduction there. Radio communications, we leave this each year. If we had to replace a radio, it's going to be more than this. So we try to maintain some budget level. If the radios need reprogramming, it's expensive, and each one of them has to be done. So that's the purpose of this line. Weapons expense, this is ammo. And before the end of the year, this will be expended. They try to get the best prices on not only ammo, but taser supplies and other things. And then we also charge the pistol range expenses out of here. Investigation expense, as you know, we have 2 detectives, and they have been very active. And that's why you see that we're about 95% spent on the surveillance services, equipment, crime scene supplies, blood draws, court transcripts, and so forth. And we've tried to keep that level going into 26. Equipment purchases, this is a number of different things. There's nothing major in this, but the PD does require new equipment from time to time. And off the top of my head, I can't tell you what was expended in this. Oh, the MDT installs that weren't covered by the grant, we had to pay for out of this line. Thank you. Legal expense, this would be for the CBA negotiations, and that will we will be looking at the end of 26. We'll have to be entering into those, so we will have expense in 2026. Probably different from the last time. The board will need to select a firm to represent us. And we have seen differences in the firms over the years. Some are more verbose and
Say the
cost
least.
us more.
Yep.
So I certainly have a recommendation on that line based on that. And also the quality of their deliverables too. But in any case, then also, which is required by statute, we have to leave $1 in for emergency management for both salary and miscellaneous expenses. So that concludes the PD's budget. So any other questions on the PD at this point? And culture and recreation, these expenses that you see listed are from the Parks Commission, and it's about a 4.1% increase. And that's made up of their existing operation costs, landscaping fees for certain things. They maintain two parks, well, more than 2 parks, but they have maintenance done at 2 parks by an outside agency, and then their programs, and then commission costs. for the majority of it. The park maintenance for the island, we have charged a few things to this line. I do think we're going to have more expense in 2026. Once we get the bridge put back in, we may need new signage. We may need new electrical connections, things of that sort. Hall Library, you can see submitted budget, which had that significant increase of $72,000, almost 73,000. And that was, as I understand it, although I haven't heard their presentation as yet, as I understand it, it was primarily because of the need to replace the HVAC system that's failing. Culture and Recreation Old Home Day submitted $3,000 request.
Hold on one second.
Mhm.
The new request is 73,000.
No, the new request is 246,000, an increase of $72,912. It's a 42% increase.
Holy crap.
The as you can see, the other items here, we do leave $1 in the Tilton Events Committee. It has been dormant, but it is that kind of thing that could start up pretty quickly. So we leave some money there. Culture Memorial Day. This is something that the board has talked about each year and discusses having more of an event surrounding it, but we end up having to spend money on that, but we continue to budget it in the event that we need to. Park Cemetery. So Park Cemetery, this was for years, they had budgeted and requested $6,000, and each year they had said they weren't getting enough money, and they were told they should increase their request, which they did this last year, which was granted. And then at town meeting, additional monies were added for cleaning supplies for the monuments, which our own Selectman Scanlon has been doing throughout town. So the request came this year from Park Cemetery. It was for the flat $10,000. So I would think if the board anticipates someone cleaning the monuments or some such thing that that could be taught to the public works crew or otherwise, you should consider adding some money for the cleaning solution. Culture Summer Concert Series. As you know, we did not have any concerts this last year. It's put back in anticipation that maybe we'll be able to do that for 26, but I would think that if we don't have it pinned down by the time of town meeting, that should be reduced out of the budget to $1, so that if in a last minute it could be done. But otherwise, it doesn't make sense to budget it if there's no activity. Outside agencies, you can see what we've requested or what we've received so far, and you'll note the first item there, Lakes Region Planning. This was moved to the administrative department, which I mentioned earlier. Then you can see youth assistance, community action program, visiting nurses, the Pines, and Twin Rivers Food Pantry. All the requests from them. So a couple of items that that I wanted to discuss. That if you were to turn to my my report, if I can find it here, there we are.
5 minutes was not enough for him.
What? I'm sorry.
Nothing.
She's ready. She's ready.
45 minutes. Yeah. So just a couple of things. So I mentioned that we did get the money for the Whitney Road property. That was $56,810. As Selectman Constantino mentioned, there are opportunities where we can either pay for things out of 25 because of this unanticipated money, which will help reduce the 26 budget. And then you'll note also that there is a TAN withdrawals in your red folders. It's really important that we get those signed because we need to borrow immediately.
They already are.
I think that's gone.
They're all done.
Very good. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I would
You
like
for a pizza.
so So one other item that is relative to the budget, as I mentioned when we were discussing the IT software, we did have a small reduction of about $4,000 from our annual license because we are currently operating under Belknap County Sheriff's Office servers. So an issue that we have, as you're aware, and we did allude to at one point when the chief and I were talking to the board, was that no implementation goes without, some sort of bumps in the road. But we've reached some really significant issues that we're having to deal with. And as I enumerated in my my report, the chief and Scott and I would like to evaluate a plan B in the event that that this is interminably stalled at the county level, because it is causing us a great deal of overhead right now in terms of our officers' time. It is problematic for us having to access two different systems, among other things. So we're looking for a consensus to investigate some plans and some options that we might have to alleviate this problem.
Chief, I know I've heard that some PDs are switching to getting away from IMC. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, I am aware of that. It's called ProSuite. And what it is we've kind of looked into that a little bit when we were talking about this. I don't know why that grant, when it was put forward to do the merge with IMC, that they didn't go through with that. I don't know if it was just early or it was too much, because I know that Guilford PD with partnering with Laconia, and that was a huge grant. And it's a lot of money to go to that system. It is. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I know there's like so many licenses, and then you would take most of your data and your stuff. It would
It's going to take a little over a year. I
Yes.
talked to someone from Guilford yesterday.
probably Adam Van Steensberg, I would say.
No, I talked with
Oh,
Bradbury.
oh, Bradbury. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, he was saying it's going to take probably a little over a year for everything to be.
Yeah, it's a process. I mean, in the future, if that's what the future is, but I'm hoping IMC, because that is their mothership. So in the future, that's what they're putting their money towards.
Yeah.
Would it be nice to? Yes, but we'd have to look at grants, money. I'm hoping, like anything else, once it's kind of like the hot fad or things are going, everybody wants it and it's big money. And then eventually things kind of settle and they have to, migrate to that. And by then, hopefully we'll be good. What we're talking about right now with Tim is, I want to tread lightly, but
Well, we have a lot of pressure points right now.
yeah,
that
yeah.
It is costing us time and effort, and it's frustrating for the staff that's using it because of the items that I've enumerated in the report. So we're just looking to develop a plan B.
I think it is important that the chief kind of explain to the rest of the board a little bit, like real quickly, if you can, like
Yeah.
why IMC is important.
Well, IMC is important. Obviously, that is our main system that pretty much all of our calls, everything that comes in to the police department goes through IMC. And to get on to that system, everything has to kind of be working right. Everybody has a log on, everybody has, a password. And right now, so really what happened is when we did the migration, we had all of our stuff under one roof. And that was our IMC system for years and years and years. And we redid the room with the new high density storage, changed our numbering system so it wasn't all over the place. It starts different. This came along and it was told that the grant, the money and everything else, this was a plan A, B, and C, and it hasn't really tracked that way. I don't see a lot of savings. I see a lot of time and effort and things behind the scene that take time. So, but with those IMC systems right now, you would typically be running one system, and that's mainly what we do. When we went over to the system, we went over to the Belknap IMC system, but we still had to keep our old system together. Okay. And so that was supposed to be a migration to converge both systems so that when you do a name check, if you have to run somebody through the system, you could run them through one system. Right now, we have to open 2 different systems, 2 different passwords, 2 different server. Everything's double.
That's ridiculous.
And then all of our old evidence, our property, all of our is all in one system. Couple emails that
Doubles the
we,
amount of time.
yes, it
and
does.
money.
It does. We have
And
to go
they
through,
need to do
yes.
Well, and they promised us originally, they promised by a certain date, they'd be doing the migration. And then that date slipped and they promised another date. And then they changed providers. And then they changed service providers. Twice they've changed during this process. And most recently, they've directed agencies to interface directly with IMC on this. But the bottom line is that we're highly dependent on one person in particular at the county who is really our liaison. So anytime we need a change made or some type of security change, it's all got to go through this one person, and we're completely dependent upon them, for these things. So, and even some of the reporting. So it's just really not an optimal situation. We've been very patient. We've given a lot of time. We've discussed with the sheriff. But this is just simply wanting to investigate our options and apprising the board that we have these problems, and that it would be negligent on our part if we weren't looking for, gosh, what are we going to do if, we get to this point and we're still in the same boat? Because at some point, something's got to give.
Yeah, I feel like we're not moving. My plan in my mind was obviously, growth and moving in the direction. I feel that we're not going that direction with this, with what's going on. I mean, pretty much the email that we received just recently, unfortunately, IMC performance with the data conversion and the overall project has been less than impressive. Despite continued pressure on our end, this has consistently offered excuses for delays. I mean, that's from the sheriff's department about this system.
The sheriff
So,
himself, wasn't
That
it,
is
Chief?
from the sheriff himself.
Yeah.
So that right there, and I mean, and I can understand his frustration. He has so many towns that
Mhm.
that's jumped on board. They've done all this work. Heidi, who's doing that, has pretty much, she kind of drew the short stick on that one. And there's been a lot of issues. Charlene's really good. Cheryl's really good with trying to get that. John has done a lot. Tim has done a lot. We're just trying to kind of put a Band-Aid on it. And we thought over time, 10, 11 months that we've been in the system, that things would get better. And I just feel like we're stagnant or we're rolling backwards. And now we have more programs that are going on. We have the e-ticket, e-citation. We have everything that's we have it now, the MDTs. I feel, I think with the progression of the town and what's going to be going on in the future, I feel like we need to start getting ahead of the curve. But this is just the one step that I was hoping would kind of come together, and it really hasn't done so.
I also think it's critical to have a system that works, especially we are a town that sees a lot of tourists come
Oh,
through
yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So
Every day.
So it is paramount that we have a system that we can access to run individuals that are not from around here quickly
Yes,
if we need to.
quickly and efficiently. I
and,
mean,
and efficiently, so we get an accurate account of that information.
We're investing a lot into this and then just not delivering to us.
That's
We had
right.
this same issue years ago when it wasn't downloading certain information. They would go out in the field, get a limited amount of information, and then they would have to come back to the office and then download it and handwrite everything back into the system again.
yeah, that was the trying to get away, and that was kind of what this merge was brought up when it was one of the good talking points about it is not having to regenerate
Yep.
information from the midnight and things like that.
Right.
You got to be seamless. You got to kind of flow, and that's what it's lacking, because not only is it just thinking in your mind, oh, well, IMC, they put in the information to the officer. No, this is dispatch center.
Yep.
This is the console that we use for dispatch. So everything that's coming in on the phone lines, and we're putting it through the system. They're running 2 different systems. It's only so many screens. You're doubling everything, and it just makes things a little bit difficult.
Not cost effective.
And it's not.
It's not cost
Fine.
effective.
That's not cost effective.
No, it's not. It's not. And I mean,
So can't we just undo this and go back to what we were doing?
I'm hoping that's what,
So there's some
That
moving
there's some-
parts to that.
Yeah.
I see. some
I
of the
think that we
parts.
should just let them come up with Plan B and bring it back to us.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're trying to tell us.
We
Right.
want to keep you guys in.
I don't see how Plan B is going to be financially
Mm,
fiscal.
Well, no,
Well-
How
that's
much
not,
do we pay Belknap County out of our county taxes to dispatch for us? You knew I was
Well,
going to ask that
Oh,
question.
yeah.
and
we knew it.
they do not itemize our county costs. But I can tell you that it did go up quite a bit. If you recall,
21%.
21% this last
Okay.
year
Yeah.
over, from
Mhm.
23 to 24. Of course, they were outdone by the fire district, which went up 26% from 23 to 24. But, that's another story. But in any case, it's not enumerated. But I can tell you when we looked at, this is just one path to look at. The other path is reverting back to what we were doing before and identifying what issues we have to go through in order to make that happen. So, we really need to look at this in a number of different ways. We need to look at the future. We need to look at the current. And I can tell you, I personally have spoken to the sheriff and he's let me know the costs that they have incurred
Mm.
on behalf of the town of Tilton. And yet we have nothing, we have no written obligation or contract with the county that requires us to, to do any sort of remuneration for those services. But because, if things had all worked out, this might be a whole different story. But it continues to be an issue for us. And you have to keep in mind too that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, but I believe in terms of those that have gone on to this system, that we are one of the busiest, if not the busiest
Mhm.
agency that's part of this this experiment.
Oh, absolutely. The Laconias, the Guilford, they never jumped on board, obviously for reasons, and they are a lot bigger. But we are the main, and that's what they want at Tilton. I was a little bit hesitant at first, just because that's not the mission. The police department was built and constructed and looked at eventually down the road to be a 24-hour PD. You know what I mean? That's the future I can see. And
Correct.
obviously right now we are actually running 120 hours out of the 168 in a week, full week. We have 4 days that we're doing 18 hours already, and 16 hours on the other 3 days. So we are the biggest. I don't think they understand, and I don't think they understood how much we put into that system. And we just had today, we were down for, I think, 2 hours on IMC. They had to shut it down to do some kind of an update over in Belknap because there's so much lag with the system and they're having so many issues.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We just go all the time. And that's the other areas. So
So bottom line is
I say you go and do what you
we need to do our homework.
Yeah.
Thank
yeah.
you.
Thank you.
And just so the board knows, I ran a comm center when I was sheriff. So I shared with the chief some of the things that we ran into because we had 18 towns in Merrimack County that we serviced. And IMC was one of our biggest problems. And I've been retired for 6 years. So when the chief started talking, I said it sounded like me singing to the choir.
Yeah.
It really did. So
Great. Well, thank you very much. We'll get work on that right away. And then lastly, just in my report, very briefly,
That was the quickest 45 minutes I've ever seen, Tim.
thank you.
Just mentioning it.
So there are some things we can encumber. If we were to encumber the $26,000 of land use consulting, that would bring our increase down considerably, eliminating the amnesty weeks and going to the coupon system. And then I've asked the town clerk tax collector to look at the fees that they have control over in their office, because they do have they're not many, but they have a few that they have local control over, and to see if those are still in line with what we should be charging, because our costs have gone up. So should we be also increasing some of the fees these are smaller fees, but we should be increasing those. So those are all things that we're looking at and investigating, and we'll bring back to you at a subsequent meeting. So with that, unless you have other questions, we did go through the revenues before, and the revenues are strong, and hopefully next year will be just as good. But unless you have any other questions, that's it for me.
I have mine. Thank you, Tim.
All right. Thank you, Tim.
right.
So I have a budgeting question. When are we, the selectmen, going to start creating our budget? Well, we have a draft. We have a draft. So when are we going
I did
to
24 years.
work on it?
I can tell you, I'd like for you to vote on it.
I'm good.
I'd like for you to vote on it the 30th, if you could, or the first.
You want us to vote on it on the 30th?
On October 30th.
I think
Yes.
that's a-
Really?
Or,
I agree with you. I think that's a great idea.
Don't hold your breath.
or the first, well, originally the plan was to bring this budget to the budget committee. Of course, they can see it at any time they want. These are simply the requests from the department heads. But it would be great if we could get it to them, to the budget committee in November at some point.
We have a
So,
lot of work to do, from what I can
I'm all
see.
ears.
So my question is, when is selectmen going to?
Well,
The end of November.
The night's young.
Yeah, we have pizza.
Could I suggest maybe an hour at your next meeting, the 30th?
An hour?
We have a public hearing.
we
It'll
can't
take
do
an
it in
hour and a
public
half.
hearing. I would suggest the 13th.
Okay.
Because we
Okay.
can't do it at the public hearing, not at the PE, just I'd rather be
Okay.
back here where it's just us. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, before we break for whatever, Tim and I
I don't
had,
have to speak anymore.
Tim and I can feel the daggers coming. Tim and I had a discussion about, I want the board, or I suggest to the board that we be aware, especially around town meeting time, that we share with the taxpayers between the clean diesel grant, the money we saved, and grant money we received on the bridge, the money that we anticipate we're going to save on Academy Street, doing it with our own public works folks, amongst additional revenues that we've generated this year, is that we will be saving in the area of $1.5 million.
Yep.
And I think that Tim and I had a lengthy discussion that we need to make sure that our taxpayers know
Yep.
Exactly what's going on here. We will break it down.
Yeah. I
between
broke it
Tim and I.
down
Yeah.
for the budget committee when I met with them this last week, and I don't want to belabor anything, but you did get the revised equipment plan as part of my packet, and that was updated for the inclusion of the diesel grant. So
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think that that's definitely something we will
Yeah.
want to make sure that
Yeah.
we mention.
And, I've watched over the past few years, or many years, Tim and Scott and any of your predecessors before you have really been watching. What we did with the electricity, saving on that, switching over the lighting systems, the heating system, and maintaining that system down at the police department. Just, I don't know anybody that says frugal with the taxpayers' money.
Right.
Our administrators.
All right. Is there anything else?
I have something in public
Okay.
that we need to go over before we go into non-public.
Okay.
So we all know that we have found out that there's a glitch in Liberty Utilities and there's no more volume coming into the town of Tilton. We've reached out to Executive Council and Juliet Harvey Bollier. executive council has, since he's not gotten back to us as of
Correct.
yet.
Correct.
Juliet has,
And Senator Lang.
and he has, she has contacted a person from the lobbyist from Liberty Utilities and trying to set up a meeting with the Board of Selectmen and Liberty Utilities. Meanwhile, my opinion only, and I'll state my opinion only, got overshadowed by Senator Lang, who was approached by governor to conduct a meeting with the Board of Selectmen on a project, what's going on in Tilton. So, got an email from a Sonia person that contacted Scott
Right.
from the Department of Energy, correct?
Actually,
The
she's
Senate.
Senate, yes.
Senate.
Senate
And
Secretary.
I'll just, I responded back and said, well, here's what's going on with Tilton. So I just gave a short synopsis of what's going on in Tilton, just so you all have what I wrote back, but waiting to hear from Juliet. I think that we should entertain both parties. Juliet's meeting with the lobbyist and the governor's
Well,
intention on,
Julia historically has always
yep,
been here when we need her. Even when
yes,
we didn't need her, she's always been here.
that's correct.
You know, she's come and said, do you need anything?
Yep.
And when we need her, she's like immediate.
Yep.
So I'm not sure why we wouldn't just deal with Juliet.
I guess the governor had asked,
Well,
Yeah, the governor asked Catherine Senator Lang to oversee it. And
for her.
for,
He asked him to
with,
oversee
with,
it for the governor.
wha-
Well, let him do it for the governor.
right, well, to oversee the problem and report back on it. And one of the things that Sonia from the Senate office suggested is that the, the Board of Selectmen could be approached by the energy company, the governor's point man on energy, and ask questions. And I responded back to Sonia that our land use coordinator really had a plate full and very knowledgeable about potential projects that might be held up as a result of this, and it is critical to central New Hampshire. And I wanted her or them to go through our land use coordinator, and ultimately they will report back to the board, so the board can ask them questions about what they're going to do about this problem in the future. And so they've asked me for a couple of dates that you folks meet, and I shared it with Pat, but I said, I want you to speak with our land use coordinator, who is the person on the front lines on this thing and understands and is getting all the critical complaints about these. You know, we don't want to lose this potential projects in our community, and we need some answers. And so they want to report back to this board, but I think it's important that our land use coordinator be the driver of that and let them understand what our concerns are here in Tilton. So that's what I've asked to do.
Well, I think Juliet can be our spokesperson.
Yes, and Juliet, I
To
talked
get
with
that,
her. Yeah,
our information to
Right.
them.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'd rather go with the most productive, and she
Right.
has been
Yes.
historically.
yeah. I had a conversation
So
with her.
productive.
Right. The only other thing I have in public is I would really like to thank Lowe's because they're supplying us with all of the supplies for the senior center flooring.
Yep.
All Kevin has to do is write up a list and they'll have it all ready for him to pick up. So I really want
I
to
think
thank.
I think he may have
Kevin.
picked it up already.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Does he
really,
have a date?
He does not have a date of install, but he does have the equipment for the products. And
Lowe's has always been a great community
have.
partner to the senior center, so they've been terrific.
I sent you a
Want to
copy of
mention
a
that.
thank you letter that I sent.
Why we have a storage shed at
Yeah.
130.
Yeah.
All right.
Can I make a motion to go into non-public?
I have another question.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Well, not a question. Well, yeah, it is a question. Could you ask Kevin if he has set a date for the
Yep.
installing that flooring?
Yep.
I'm just concerned because it is a trip hazard.
Yeah, he did send somebody up to fix some of the current stuff until we get in. But I will send him a note and
I have
ask him.
2 items. RSA's.
Oh, you want to read them?
You ready?
You can read them.
Make a motion. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
I
she's
make a
gonna-
motion that we go into non-public per RSA 91A:3A, dismissal, promotion, or compensation of discipline of a public employee, and RSA A 91A:3C, matters which discussed in public would likely adversely affect the reputation of any person other than a member of the public body.
Second.
Constantino, yes?
Adam Jest.
Scanlon, yes.
Wilson, yes.
Okay.
Grab some pizza before you leave. That was,
This conference will now be recorded.
like to make the motion to seal the minutes of the non-public as the matters still justifying the means.
Second.
Oh, second. Sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right. So I'd like to get consensus to have Scott and Tim work with Pat if she has time as the land use coordinator to look on figuring a way to advertise in regards to the zoning updates and whatnot, and see what we can do. I don't need to see the advertisement.
Mhm.
The three of you know what you're going to write. You'll know what you need to put in there. So I personally don't need to see the advertisement because I'll see it when I see it online.
Right.
Except
my
I would
opinion.
ask, please don't advertise for town planner.
Oh, right.
Be
Right.
specific of our needs.
Right.
Are we looking for an employee or services or either or?
My personal opinion would be services.
Temporary thing.
I think either or.
I-
Let's not
Yeah.
narrow the field.
I think
Either or.
I like Catherine's idea.
All right.
Temporary basis.
Okay.
Let's have options.
Well, if we go with a temporary, are you gonna, and they're looking to be an actual employee? How do you do that?
You might find somebody
Part-
that can do
part-time
that,
jobs needed
some.
to-
And
if
something else.
somebody's retired from,
Mm.
land use board somewhere who might
Yep.
want to come on board and do that, and we may entertain hiring them on a permanent permanent part-time basis.
We
Who
got
knows?
project and
Who knows?
the project, and if you're great, we'll find.
Okay.
someone for you.
That would be a recommendation from land use.
All right. So the consensus to do that?
See what we can find.
All right.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Happy birthday, Haley.
Yes. Happy birthday. Happy 16th birthday to my daughter.
Oh, happy birthday. That's cute.
Mhm.
And since this is more than likely his final last meeting, we wanted to make sure it was extra long. Why are you raising your hand?
Because I just want to let the board know that I'm headed to the ICMA conference next week.
Oh, okay.
the grant that I got for room, travel and all that stuff.
Can we approve that for you to leave?
You did approve it, yes.
I'm
Catherine,
gonna need. I'm
Catherine
gonna
made
need
the
to see
motion.
that.
Catherine made the motion. Right, he's gonna give me a ride. I'm gonna save the money and spend it at the
Okay.
casino.
All right.
I will be gone for your next meeting as well, because I come back on the 29th and the 30th. I have a surgical procedure
Okay.
that,
Okay.
that most men have
You
to
don't have
have.
to go into.
That's
All
it.
right.
That's
Okay.
it.
All right. All right. So there is one thing that this selectman Scanlon needs to do for us.
Yep.
His last.
Do it, John.
Make a motion.
Yep.
There you go.
Oh,
Make it
please
official.
use it.
Attention, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second. Noble. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thanks for the chat. Well done.